The biggest mistake I made in my business was not hiring a professional to help me with my money. Not just my taxes, but the actual plan I had for my business. I was completely lost on how to handle taxes, what to do with profit, and how to maintain my income. I had to find a better way. That's when I found Core Financial. Core Financial is a team of tax professionals that actually care about building real relationships with their clients. They run my books, keep me up to date with my finances, and make sure I'm taking full advantage of all of my tax benefits. Are you struggling with your finances? Look no further. Core Financial is a brand that is nationwide that can help you with your business. Both Nick and I are huge fans of Core, and they can help you too. Check out howtofilmweddings.com/core to schedule a consultation today. Core Financial, real relationships, no surprises.
It seems like there are new cameras and equipment coming out all of the time. It gets increasingly confusing and the FOMO is real. John and I have been preaching for years that the best way to try out new gear is to rent before you buy. There is only one place that we recommend when it comes to renting, and that is our friends over at Lens Rentals. Lens Rentals is the premier source for renting not only camera equipment, but lenses, drones, projectors, and more. Do you have a big project coming up and you really need to wow your couple? Wanting to test out the newest camera before you drop thousands on it? You need Lens Rentals. My favorite thing is that if I love something I rent, I can keep it. They apply a portion of the rental fee to the purchase price, and within a few simple clicks, the gear is mine. So head over to howtofilmweddings.com/lensrentals and use promo code HTFW15 at checkout for 15% off of your order. Lens Rentals, the only place we recommend renting. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Mr. Nick Miller and I am joined by Mr. John Bunn. And the reason that I said Mr. Nick Miller is because yesterday was a big day for me. John, I'm 40. I'm in my 40s. I am 40. It happened.
I don't know how. I have some friends of mine in their 40s. I don't know how I feel about this.
I don't know.
Like,
you
know what I mean?
Does it make you old by association because now I'm old?
Definitely. Yes. Yes. Okay. And it also makes me feel very young to be way down here in my 30s. Yes. 37 and flirty-7. That's my style. So you're 40. That was a big weekend. And in the States, we celebrated, Thanksgiving, had a couple days off. That's great.
In my family, so this last week, it was bananas. So we celebrated Thanksgiving. All of my parents, my brother came into town. And because this is the year that we do Thanksgiving with them, we did Thanksgiving. And then on Friday, we did Christmas with the family. And then on Saturday, we celebrated Piper's birthday, my daughter, because her birthday's in a couple days. And then on Sunday, we celebrated my birthday. So it's just like, Jen calls it the weekend of gifts because that's kind of what it was.
Yeah. What'd you get? I'm just kidding.
Old.
We record these.
Old is what I got.
So Thanksgiving happened. We took a couple of days off. To those of you that don't know or didn't, pay attention much, our course was open for enrollment. Thank you to everybody that joined. Thank you for, if you get our emails during a course launch week, we send one email a day. And just thanks for still hanging on there on our email list and just listening to us and joining our communities. And it was, we're very thankful. We had a lot to be thankful for this year. And as the year is winding down, which is crazy, 2021 was the fastest year ever. 2020 was the slowest year ever. So
it had to balance out. It had to balance itself out.
It did, because I can't believe it's already here. Like it was summer 5 seconds ago, and now it's cold. And here we are in almost December already, winding down the year. And Nick, we wanted to do an episode today, just kind of thinking about where people are right now in their year, especially those in the Northern Hemisphere, that it's kind of like getting cooler and winding down. Sometimes we can feel burnt out. Sometimes we can get to this place of burnout. So that's what we want to chat about today.
Yes. So as John and I were talking about what we should go on about today, we've had lots of conversations with people in our Facebook group, in our mastermind, and just how they're like, ugh, like how do you feel? Ugh. And like, everyone's like, oh, I got you. I feel you. I know. And it's not just the wedding video industry, it's pretty much everyone in the wedding profession, right? If you're a wedding vendor, you are feeling this and you are overworked and you are burnt out. And so we wanted to spend some time talking today about for our wedding video friends, and I bet a few photographers in here could really associate with this as well. But we wanted to talk about 5 ways to really help you when you are feeling very, very burnt out. So we got another 5 list thing, some things that you can do, some things that will help you with this. So 5 ways to help you from feeling burnt out. And as John and I were kind of brainstorming and talking about this, a few of the things that we really noticed where a lot of this burnout comes from. You have your, my schedule is full. I'm burnt out because I'm looking ahead, and over the next 3 months, I am shooting 3 months worth of weddings. Or you have a massive amount of backlog. Like we've talked to people that have been setting I'm sitting at 19 in my backlog, just massive amounts of weddings to edit. And then the other real reality that some people are experiencing is I have filmed these weddings and I have all this work to do, but I've already spent the money, and like it's like I've been paid in advance and now I have to do the work, but I feel like I'm not getting paid. And so it's like no money's coming in even though I have all this work to do. So we just wanted to talk about all of this kind of stuff and some things that maybe can help you through that. John, before we get into this list, do you have anything you would like to add?
I think there are many ways, many culprits for a feeling of being burned out. Maybe you're not in backlog. Maybe you have money in the bank, but creatively you're couples, you just haven't been, and you're seeing all these people on our podcast that are talking about knowing your why and knowing your brand and knowing, I just want to throw it out there. It's different for every single person, but you need
That's
to
a
do
really
some,
good point.
Thanks. Appreciate that. It's different for everybody. And what my wife, what makes her feel burned out is completely different. When she's around a lot of people and has a lot to do, she's, her energy is drained. And whenever I'm around a lot of people, I can't go to sleep. I'm so excited. I'm like a puppy, and it's like, so just knowing yourself, being very self-aware of what makes you feel this way. I do this. I actually was feeling a little bit this way over the last couple of days. We had just done our course launch and pushed really hard and done a lot of different creative things and, like wrote a lot of content and done all these things. And, I was just sitting here feeling like, man, we've got so much to do in 2022 and a lot to get done before the end of the year. And I'm just like, I just want to go take a nap, and it's like, okay, I'm self-aware to say, this is what, the smoke before the fire. This is when I'm going to get, if I don't pay attention to myself here, I'm going to burn out. So knowing yourself is a really big deal. So Nick, we have 5 ways to help when you're feeling burned out. Throwing it back over to you for number 1.
Yeah. So as we're talking about this, I think a lot of the context that I am putting this in is going to be kind of with having a lot of work to do, a lot of backlog like that. I know there are lots of different reasons, but I think that this is at the heart of why a lot of people are feeling burnt out right now is the amount of work that they have to do, and they feel like they have to get it all done right now. But, when they have 10 weddings to edit or something like that, like you can't do that all of that right now. So that's kind of the context of a lot of this stuff. And the first thing that we want to say is make a realistic calendar for you to get your editing done, a plan. Make a realistic calendar. And what I mean by that is, if you have 5 weddings in your backlog and you have a full-time job, it's probably not very realistic for you to say, I'm going to get 5 edits done this week, and then I will be all caught up. Like that's not a realistic expectation if you want to, live and sleep and live, because you'd be working all the time and all that kind of stuff for a week. So make a realistic calendar. John, what would you say are some things that you could, like line item out and say, this is some realistic goals, some realistic expectations for the week?
Yeah. And this reminds me of December of 2017. I will never forget this. I've talked about it before on the pod, but the pod. What am I,
The
cool
pod.
now? Sorry, podcast. I said it and I moved on, and I thought that's not me. I try things, sometimes they work. But December of 2017 was whenever I had gone from 7 employees down to just myself. I had 21 weddings in backlog. And I just remember that feeling so burned out. I had bills to pay. I was on the brink of like bankruptcy, and I had to dig myself out. And it was just like all these things had piled. That was 4 years ago. Today, I mean, this week, just thinking about it. And what I did was I had to have like a come to Jesus meeting, as we say here in Oklahoma. It was a come to Jesus meeting with my wife, with this is where we're at. And we had to really start laying down a plan, or we were never going to get out. Like what we were doing was not effective. So we had to change something up. So making a realistic calendar for my edits was really, really helpful. How many edits per week could I get done realistically? How many hours per day could I work realistically? What were manageable tasks that I could have realistically, not pie in the sky? Like I can edit a wedding a day. I could do that. Like if I do 15-hour days and don't, it's like, okay, no, you can't do that. So I just remember literally laying out the edits on my calendar, on my Google calendar, and said, okay, Jimmy and Susie's wedding is this week. Nick and Jen's wedding is this week, whatever, like just started walking 1 week at a time. Okay, I've got 21 of these. I'm going to be caught up in June. Like, oh no, like I have what, but at least it gave me a starting point. And then it was like, well, if it was only 4 days, I could do this. Okay, well, that's like hard, but realistic. I could do. And anyway, by laying those things out and making a realistic calendar, about 5 business days per wedding, I started getting ahead of that. It got me in this routine and stuff like that. And so I know there's some more points about routine in a second, but that is where I started with, was like digitally seeing it instead of just being like, I will deal with that when I get to it. Being able to see it somehow as like a budget, even though if you didn't have enough money to make it to the end of the month, if you're just like, I need $800 more this month to get all my bills paid, that's better than just being like, I know I don't have enough money, and I'm not going to think about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And some practical ways to do that, you could say, all right, on Monday of this week, I'm going to cull all of my footage. Like that's the only thing I'm going to do. Go through all of the B-roll, make sure that that's good. Like that's Monday's goal. Tuesday's goal is I'm going to go through all of the speaking bits, the voiceovers, the toast, the ceremony, and pick the best stuff that I can do there. Wednesday, I am going to lay down, the music and then the voiceover stuff. Get those kind of skeletoned out. And then Thursday, I am going to lay B-roll over the first half of the song. And Friday, I'm going to lay B-roll over the last half of the video, just like practical things that you can do every single day. Or maybe you don't work like that, but you say, okay, let's say you still have your 9-to-5 job. So you work from 9 to 5 and then you say, okay, I'm going to eat dinner. And then from 6 until 9 o'clock, so I can get these done, I'm going to work for 3 hours. As soon as that alarm goes off at 6, I'm going to start working. And as soon as it goes off at 9, I'm done for the night. And like, just really, keep track of that sort of stuff. And so that will help you get it done. And another great thing about making a calendar, making realistic goals like this is it, helps you see the end, so that you know that the end is coming. Like it's so much easier to start a task when you know there is an end date in sight, rather than saying, oh, I guess I'm going to get started and who knows if this will ever be finished. I know it helped John, even though for him to say, oh gosh, when I map this out for 21 weeks, it's going to be May before I'm done with everything. And that stinks. But at the same time, there was an end goal in mind. So it's like, in May, I know I will be out of this backlog and be able to move on from there.
And as a classic people pleaser, this is me. Raise your hand if you're listening, you're a people pleaser. I know I can't really see you, but I'm a people pleaser. And knowing that a couple is out there waiting on me, knowing that it's going to be up against a deadline, starting to feel rushed creatively, starting to feel like all of that, it really can start to take a toll on you and make you feel burned out, especially when you add the layer of, well, shoot, I've already been paid for this. But I want to say, when making a realistic calendar for your edits, if you're in backlog or whatever it is, I had these 21 weddings to edit from December until like my first wedding back the next year was in April. So I was just like, I had this goal out in front of me. Like I want to be caught up by the time my next season starts. Like I really want to do that. And at the time, I did not have enough money coming in, but I realized, and this is one of the things that I learned over time, is I could have a quick chat with the couple after their wedding, walk them through what they are like while I'm editing Jimmy and Susie's wedding, can say, hey, you guys did not get raw footage. You did not get a ceremony edit. You did not get, and I was able to start selling things on these weddings, which gave me this freedom. And I was like, oh, I made $800 more for that wedding this week. Well, if I make $800 extra a week, that's, $4,000 in a month, or like, and I started getting margin and getting out of this burnt out feeling. And so by having those written down, I could then communicate better to my couples saying, hey, this is where I'm at. I got way behind. I don't want to rush on these edits. And like the communication was easier than just hoping they didn't reach out and living this life kind of waiting for the skeletons to come out of the closet.
Yeah, that's really good. And communication is so important. If you have backlog, like as long as you are upfront with people, they might not like it, but they will accept it. It's whenever you miss a deadline and you don't let them know what's going on, that's whenever, in my experience, problems start. And, it could be as simple as, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to make your edit. I'm not going to get the deadline because I'm going to miss that. You know what? I'm just going to throw in raw footage for free. Or, do something that doesn't necessarily cost you a lot of time and energy just to appease them, saying, I'm so sorry that I missed. It doesn't have to be raw footage. You can figure out, and think about whatever that may be, but that could help really appease that. So the first one that we wanted to talk about was when you're feeling burnout is make a realistic calendar for your edits. The second one, and I think it kind of goes hand in hand with the calendar one. And that one is get in a routine. I remember a few years ago, whenever it was in the fall, and we started it was like 7 or 8 weekends in a row, every single weekend where we were shooting a wedding. And, this was back before Wedditor. We were using Wedditor, so I was exclusively doing all of our edits. We had all of these weddings that we were shooting. We were kind of traveling a lot, going all over the place. We had our children and babies. It was just all this stuff. And so I am really, really good at when I get really stressed out, I just am like, you know what? I'm gonna relax. Instead of like do the thing that would actually help me, get better in solving these problems, I just like, you know what, I'm going to check out. And I really experience that paralysis from analysis. I'm just looking at all of this stuff that I need to do. And if you are out there and you are one that is somewhat like me, where you just like think of all of these weddings, you have 7 in a row, and as soon as you if you miss a night or you do something, then that's just going to add more snow to the big snowball that's rolling down the hill, and you're just so exhausted. A routine is going to help you with that. Like if you have that editing thing of, okay, I am going to do, I'm going to work for 3 hours on this film every single day, just keep up with that and get in that routine and get in that habit of I film it and then I start working on it, or, something, whatever your routine is. If you get in that routine, that is going to help you, I think, with feeling that burnt out and like the looking ahead, like, oh, I just have so much to do and so much coming in. I don't know what to do. What do you have to add?
Yeah, it's the whole analogy of like, you can look up a mountain and realize how far you have to go, or you can just start taking a bunch of steps and then you're like, wow, I've come a long way. And whether or not you get there on like the exact time or not, it really, like if you just get going and get moving, you can accomplish a lot. I remember, and I'm going to use this story as we reference all of these points, just because, of me being 21 edits behind. Once you get in that routine, once I laid things out on the calendar, I could set myself a reasonable routine, and I could push further if I was feeling it one day, and I could pull back a little bit if I wasn't feeling it. When I tell people I had 21 edits and 5-month window of time to get them caught up, people are like, oh my gosh, that's so stressful. But I did get in this routine, and what it built was momentum. And whether it's a backlog of edits or you just feel burned out about whatever it is, if you're starting to feel that way, find a way to start building momentum somehow into your life. And what happened when I would get ahead, like I got in this editing routine, just getting going on this and doing the things. If I wasn't feeling creative, whatever. But by being in that routine, I started knocking a wedding out and getting paid for it. And then another wedding. And then people were inquiring about weddings moving forward because they saw that edit that I did. And so I would get bookings. And so it just started this flywheel turning by making a realistic calendar and then getting in a routine.
Yeah, I was listening to this podcast and they were talking about the power of a streak and the power of continuing to do something, and how, if you, let's say, you're working out and you do it every day for 7 days, and then it gets to day 8 and you really don't want to, but then you look at your calendar and you wrote a little X on every single day that you worked out. You're like, ooh, I don't want to break that streak. Like, there's something psychologically in us that we're like, oh, I just need to keep going with this and keep doing this so that I have my perfect record, so that I have that that streak going. And so maybe think about that. What's a good streak that you can go for? A good routine. With all of this. So just thought that was interesting. Wanted to add that little bit in. John, we've been talking for a minute. We do need to go to a break. Should we cover point 3, or should we just go into break and then come back and talk about the last 3?
I think we can head to break.
Okay, guys, you heard us. We're going to go to break right now.
Hi, it's Michael from Wedditor. We want to thank everyone for the incredible support we've received since sponsoring How to Film Weddings. Yes, we've had some growing pains, but we've had far more wins. And we're doing something that's never been done. We're a remote team of over 50 editors in 10 countries. I often joke that we're as much a logistics company as we are a creative company. Right now, demand is off the charts. And we don't just say yes to everyone and scramble to figure it out. That's why we're asking you to help us help more of you. In short, we're looking for more talented Wedditors. Part-time or full-time, work from where you want, when you want, as long as you hit deadlines and deliver quality. It's a chance to get paid while growing as an editor. Our project managers work with you, explaining why something feels right or doesn't, because there's always a reason. If you're interested, we'd love to hear from you. Go to wedditor.com/editor and fill out our form.
Finding the perfect song for your wedding film can be so frustrating. We spend countless hours searching for the perfect song. When it comes to licensing music, Nick and I both love MusicBed. Not only do they have the best music, but their website makes it so easy to find the perfect song and to find it fast. We have both been using the MusicBed's wedding subscription for years and cannot recommend it enough. Not only are they adding new music from incredible musicians like Chapters, The Light, The Heat, and Tony Anderson all the time, they've made it incredibly easy to search their library for mood, genre, instrumentation, and even key. So what are you waiting for? Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed and use promo code HTFW for a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription. howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed.
All right, we are back from break, and we're talking about the 5 things that you can do to help you when you're feeling burnout. We're kind of focusing a lot about editing and backlog because as we talk to people, that's kind of where a lot of people seem to be. Of course, there's other ways that cause burnout, but we wanted to kind of focus in on these things. So we talk about making a realistic calendar and then getting in a routine, sticking with that calendar, and kind of building your streak so that you're more likely to keep going with that. The third thing that I'm going to talk about, and this is the Wedditor question of the day. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing. And the question is this: what is number 3 on your 5 ways to help when you're feeling burnout?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. And a lot of people experience burnout whenever they're stuck with an edit. Well, at least I have. I'm putting this in the context of myself. What do I do when I'm stuck with an edit? And, if I can't figure out where stuff goes or I don't know what to do, then I just kind of quit for a while, or I take the day off because I'm not feeling it. But whenever you do that, especially if you do that enough, you're really going to get that calendar, that schedule all mixed up. And so we wanted to talk about a few things that you can do whenever you are stuck in an edit. So John, whenever you are in that 21 edits in, a 4-month time period, I'm sure that, you got stuck at times in stuff that, you didn't know what to do. What were some things that you did, or what are some recommendations you have for people whenever they feel that?
Yeah, I think there's 2 parts of your, both parts of your brain are working when you're editing. Your left brain, your right brain, your creative, and then your organizational side of things. When I wasn't feeling my creative self, I would start in a different position, or I would start in the middle of the wedding edit. I would work my way around. But a lot of the times, like if I just wasn't feeling creative, it would take me a little bit to get up in the zone of like creativity. I would just do some of that mundane stuff that, I would sync a ceremony. I would cull footage. I would like just go through and trim the fat off of things, or like I wouldn't be getting into like timing and like, laying down music and trying to cut to but like by the time that I would like really start going with that, I would get into a creative zone usually. The big thing, and I know it's not in our notes here, we talked about it before, but I think that in a day where our phones and our watches buzz at us all day long and our computers buzz and like everything, like just having time where you turn off your Wi-Fi, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, and like just focus. And like, even if you're doing the boring stuff, that is what I would recommend if I'm getting stuck. I know you do some different things, Nick. What do you do?
One thing that I love when I'm going to an edit and I'm feeling very uncreative, or I'm stuck, I like finding a different part. So many of us, even though we're not necessarily editing chronologically, the story of our film, we like to start at the beginning and work our way through. And John mentioned it, but I love, if there's some like big crescendo moment or some like moment in the song that's going to be really emotional, I like start messing with it there, putting my footage on and feeling that stuff, start backwards, start at the very end of the song and okay, we're going to do the upbeat and up the dancing and like that kind of stuff. Like that could be the fun, kind of edit stuff, to do, that sort of thing. So I love, when I'm feeling like, I just don't know what to do. I don't know where to go, starting there, and then working backwards from the middle. Also, kind of mapping out, okay, this is where I want this to happen, and this is where I want this to happen within your edit. How many times have you been editing, maybe when you're feeling it, and then you're like, oh, I'm 4 minutes into the song, and I'm still on bride prep, or, something like that. And then okay, now I have a minute left, and I have to cover everything else. So, if you kind of go in and make markers, okay, I want bride prep here, groom prep here, ceremony stuff here, so you can just kind of map it out a little bit. But I really love the tip of starting kind of where the music is the most powerful, and kind of working around that to see what you can do to build something with there. So
yeah,
John,
it will, like the edit, like if you pick out, if you pull your snippets and you pull your different things, like there are moments that you're like, I want this to happen at a really big moment. I want this to happen at a really big moment. And the edit will kind of come together based on your music and you looking through the footage. If you can, you don't have to edit from the very beginning of the film all the way through to the very end of the film. And so I know that it's like a puzzle sometimes. And like when I'm doing a puzzle with the family, about to do some of those over Christmas, I'm sure it's like I start with the easy part, which is the edges. It's like I get all that in, and it's like, oh, I know these pieces kind of go over here. I don't know exactly where they go, but I'm gonna get like all the color that looks like this over here by this part of the puzzle, because I know this is somewhere, it goes somewhere over here. And like you get that all organized, and some pieces start coming together, and then before you know it, you're just like, boom, 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 the puzzle's coming together, and you have a finished puzzle. And that's how I look at an edit. And some people are just like, I don't know how to get this whole puzzle put together, so they just don't start doing the puzzle. How many times can I say puzzle?
Puzzle.
That's a fun word.
Puzzle.
What's next? What's on the list next?
Well, I know that you can see it, but do you want me to say what point number 4 is?
I had to click it over because I had accidentally clicked out of it.
Okay.
But here I'm back. There's the list.
Okay. Here's list. So
my favorite point. Get ready. This is the best point.
Point number 1, make realistic calendar. 2, get in a routine. Number 3, if you get stuck, kind of work, find other things to do, work from the middle, work backwards. And number 4, take a day off. That one is, I know that's going to blow some of your minds and be like, whoa, I cannot do this. John, I have a question. When you had 21 edits in your backlog, okay, did you work 24/7, 7 days a week?
I did not.
Okay, you did not. Now, I know that whenever I'm like really busy and I'm really stressed and I have a lot of stuff to do, I know that I don't necessarily put in my best work if I'm continually in that state. Like I'm like always on edge, always, and so you need some time away. And I know as a small business owner, this is very, very difficult to separate yourself from your business. And especially if you work from home, it's really easy for me to just walk down those steps and come into my office and, start working on stuff, whenever I'm feeling this way. But there is power in taking some time off. For all people, this is going to be different, but, for us and our family, I try to take every Sunday off. That's the day where I don't answer emails. I don't get back to people. I don't work. I don't do anything. And I, try to spend the day with my family. Am I always successful in this? No, but it's something that I am trying to do, is take Sundays off. John, why don't you talk about the power of taking some time off?
Yeah, I think about it like you can put the pedal to the metal on your car and go full speed for a long time. But sooner or later, you are going to burn out the engine. You're going to be on the side of the road. And it would be much better to be consistent over time than to push so super hard all the time. And so if we're talking about burning out, whether this is with your backlog or with your business or with whatever it is, something about just detaching from digital things, just unplugging, taking your watch off of it, notifies you, putting your phone away, getting outside. Right before we hit this podcast episode, I was like, Nick, I just need a few minutes away from my screen. I'd been doing stuff all morning, and I went around and walked around my neighborhood. I just went outside. I didn't look at my phone. I just took a minute. So whether it's a day off or like just knowing yourself enough, but I remember whenever I was getting caught up with these edits, I didn't work a single Sunday. Most Saturdays I did not work. So I was just a 5-day week, a very focused 5-day week. Most people waste so much time looking at things, doing things they shouldn't, just like blowing their energy on things that have no need. And so once I got in this routine and got into this mode, I started enjoying my 8-9 hour days. I would pack a lunch. I would take a 15-minute break, and I was just going to town. Like I was just doing work. I was getting things done, and I felt good about myself. And so I do remember a couple of times where it was like, you know what? I've been working hard for 5 weeks. I've taken weekends off, but I'm also going to just take a Friday off as well. Or I'm going to refresh. The weather's good. I'm just going to go and just not do this work. And so whatever it is that you're feeling burned out, like just taking some time for you, knowing when to push, when not to push. I think we live in a society where so much is talking about self-care and treat yourself, and hustle now is a bad word. And I think that there are times for all of it, and just being aware of how to balance it all. That's the thing that we're constantly trying to do, is balance our life and have a life balance, a work-life balance. And sometimes we get so off kilter that we're like freaking out and on the side of the road with a broken down engine. That is not where we want to be. So if you're feeling burned out, taking a couple of days off could actually be an intentional thing that you do to refresh. Number 5, or do you have anything else to add about that?
Nope, I don't.
Number 5, Nick, this kind of goes right along with it, but you need to learn how you're feeling right now. What does that mean?
So the thought behind this one is, humans, we often repeat the things. We don't learn from the mistakes that we've made. Okay. Take a look at yourself. Why are you feeling this way? Was it because back in the spring, you had all these weddings and you're just like, you know what? It's a 6-month turnaround. I'm just going to not do anything. And wait until that. Was it because of that? Or, did you book a lot of weddings, because your price point was pretty low? Or I know that COVID, this fall, COVID was a big reason that a lot of us, have been so busy. So that's kind of, you can kind of throw that one out the window, because hopefully that doesn't happen again. But, learn from your mistake. And, if you're really busy and backlogged right now, it stinks. So if you had to be this way next year, what would make it worth it to be in the same spot? Would charging $1,000 or $2,000 more per wedding, would that make it worth it? I think a lot of people would take that payday if they were, had to be in that situation, something like that. So, what can you learn? Is it going to be your schedule, making that calendar, being realistic about your turnaround time, about your edits, about how you're going to work? Is it your routine? Is it just learning learning how you edit. There's some people that, they I have to wait until I'm creatively good to go. And then when I'm creatively good to go, I work for like 12 hours straight and I don't stop. And, learning about yourself, these things about yourself. So that's how we think one of the biggest steps to avoid feeling burnout is to learn from the stuff that has got you to where you are right now and think about the future. How can you change those things? John, what would you like to add?
I think that I grew up in a world where you weren't supposed to live by how you're feeling, and you're feeling, I just remember hearing that a lot. It's like, you don't need to live by how you feel, and you don't need to, and I understand that you shouldn't be like driven by your feelings. It's like, I feel mad, so I'm going to punch you in the face. Like, you can't do that, obviously, but it's okay to be justified in the fact that maybe you are mad about something, or maybe you are upset, or, I know with Nick and I in our business with How to Film Weddings, if I'm feeling burned out or frustrated about something, if I keep that to myself, Nick has no idea. He can't help me with and as soon as I'm like, hey, I'm really upset or frustrated or tired about this or whatever, I immediately feel the stress of whatever that situation alleviate, because he's there to be like, oh, well, we could do this instead, or we could do that. Or so my thought with learn how you're feeling right now is also to learn who you can trust with those feelings. And to really lean into those friendships that you have. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's another wedding filmmaker, it's a friend, a pastor, just a counselor, that kind of thing. So where you are able to process why you're feeling how you're feeling. Like, your feelings are valid. We shouldn't live by them and be directed by them and steer our life with the feelings. But if you're feeling backlogged, if you're feeling, like you're not going to have enough money, if you're feeling whatever it is, whatever thing is helping you in those feelings of burnout, by just talking to somebody about them, like, a lot of the pain goes away, and you can get yourself into just calling a friend and be like, man, I'm just in a rut. Can we go to coffee? Like, I just want to talk. And that's huge. That'll go a long way. And as creatives, you have to be self-aware to know that you can't always be so super creative, and you can't always be running just business, and it's a fine balance, like I said earlier, of just all of these things. And it's okay to get a little behind on things. It's okay to need to take a break. And if you're in that position this time of the year where you're feeling backlogged, you're feeling, stressed out, burned out, whatever, just know that you're not alone in those feelings.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that stuff, John. So, to recap, the 5 things: make a realistic calendar, get in a routine. When you get stuck, work from the middle or from the end, or find some other kind of mundane things that you can do. Take a couple of days off is number 4. And the last one is learn from how you're feeling and how to move forward with that. I really think that this information is really helpful, especially if you're burnt out. Like, that's who we're talking to today, because we know that there are so many people in our industry that are feeling that right now. John, before we sign off and we say goodbye, do you have anything you want to add?
I just want to say thank you to the community. It's been really humbling, the How to Film Weddings community. I just am thinking about several posts in our Facebook group over the last couple of weeks of just, every now and then a person will come in and make negative comments. And there's so many people that just understand our hearts and understand who we are as How to Film Weddings and what we're trying to do here. And our goal, like we've said again and again on this podcast, is we want to elevate the wedding video industry. We want to help you make more money. We want to help you not burn out. We want to help you get past the status quo of only being 3 or 4 years into a wedding video business before you quit. And we're seeing that now 3 years into doing this podcast, seeing people that have been here since the beginning that are charging more and that are not burned out. And if you're in that state of mind, just know that it will pass if you continue to take steps forward and continue to work on you, on your business. So thank you.
Yeah, I echo those. Thank you. If you want to join our amazing Facebook community, all you need to do is go to howtofilmweddings.com/community, and that will take you straight to our Facebook group where you can come and be a part of the conversation. John, as always, it has been great to hang out with you. Thanks for chatting with me. Listeners, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, we will see you.
See ya. Are you looking for a better way to deliver your wedding films to your couples? Look no further. Our friends over at Wedflow provide the most flexible video delivery solution on the market. Wedflow is pay per project with no large upfront cost or commitment, and you can cancel anytime. Not only that, Wedflow offers a premium viewing experience for your couples, accessible on mobile, tablet, desktop, as well as their very own suite of TV apps. Each project comes with 10 years hosting and an experience for your clients that will blow them away. Stop delivering your films the old-fashioned way and give your couples something to rave about. Head on over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedflow to check out Wedflow today.